8 to 10 years ago, we felt called to create something public. And we were like, we think this is our time. We think now is the time to recreate what we've done for so many years at home. It's literally a random event on Eventbrite. 2 people that are just newer to Seattle that are trying to do this thing. We shared what our mission was to gather people for a good time while introducing them to local causes and businesses that matter. Natural, low pressure, just come meet some new people. And we packed the building out. And the emotion, I think, was just like immense gratitude.
Welcome to the Heart of Advocacy, where we shine a spotlight on remarkable individuals committed to building a more equitable and just world. I'm Doni.
And I'm Ken. We're with The Advocates, a law firm serving the Pacific Northwest. Join us as we explore the inspiring journeys of these heroes who uplift marginalized voices, serve their communities, and break down barriers to create a brighter future for everyone.
Okay, settle a debate. Is the Puget Sound part of the Pacific Ocean?
It's connected.
Would you call the Sound the ocean?
No, I don't think I would.
You wouldn't call it the Pacific Ocean?
No.
Oh, you'd be wrong. Technically.
I would?
Yeah.
I'm often wrong, but why would I be wrong?
It's part of the Pacific Ocean. So if you're part of something, you are that.
Just because it's connected?
Yeah.
The Columbia River is connected to the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, but that's freshwater.
So you have to test the salinity to decide if it's part of the ocean.
Different ecosystem.
It's not unsettled. Derrick and Tanise are cool people.
Derrick and Tanise are very, very cool people. One of a kind, just so joyful, both of them. And really came to Seattle not that long ago. And I feel like have already made a bigger impact than I've made here, being here for 15 years. These 2 are wonderful individuals. They mobilize, they bring people together, they support great causes and connection. And, we're really excited to kind of be partnering up with them on some upcoming initiatives. And it was just a great time getting to sit down and talk with them about their, how they got here and kind of what they got going on.
Let's get right into it. This is our interview with Derrick and Tanise. If you could go back 20 years, what would your past self think about what you're doing now?
Oh my God, that's a dynamic question.
That's a great question. In terms of what I'm doing professionally, my past self would have been like, okay, great. Yeah, that's exactly where I want to be. In terms of what we're doing with Sync Seattle, I was the president of our student union. And so events, I was doing events on campus, and it wasn't something that I saw myself doing professionally ever. I was just having fun on campus doing that, helping to lead and manage events for students, bringing the community together on campus. And it's like, wow, that's what we're doing today, 20 years later, doing it professionally at a pretty high level.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So 21-year-old me would have just been like,
of course,
wow, like this actually matters what you're doing here on this side too. You're building a skill set.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think over the past 20 years, I've learned like life can be pretty cyclical like that. You end up doing things sometimes in your early days that prepare you for what you're meant to do later too. Had no clue that this would be something that would be in the cards. So,
but it makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, I want to say a little bit of disbelief, but also that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, I say that because I have always been surrounded by, especially my family, just like community oriented, community driven family and friends, and also just naturally hosting events through various phases of my life. And I think I would be in a little bit of disbelief at our scale in 2 years. I think I would have thought back then, like, okay, it kind of makes sense that you all are kind of thriving in this event space and really great at like networking and promoting causes that matter and connecting people to those causes. Like that makes sense to me, but I think it's the scale and then also the organic growth in such a short time. I think I would be duly impressed. Like a little bit of disbelief, like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
We experienced crazy growth in Portland. And yeah, I would share that same kind of like, we didn't do much, but like it exploded and that's really cool. And the organic growth is such a validation of what you're doing too.
Absolutely.
Right? Because it's other people kind of getting behind your cause and pushing it forward with you, which is, it feels so good.
Yeah.
We want to hear about the story, how you two met. So like when I look at you and your chemistry, I'm like, it had to have been this like storybook moment. Go back.
Yeah.
What was that moment?
I was tasked with leading a community service project for an organization that I'm a part of this was back in Charlotte. And, it was around MLK Day. So we were doing the whole MLK weekend where we were going to do the parade and then right after get together, do a community service event called around all of the typical nonprofits that, we worked with. And, ended up talking to Tanise, who was at the time the group volunteer manager for a large nonprofit there, one that I'd worked with before, right? And I knew that they could accommodate what we were trying to do and the numbers and everything, but it wasn't just reaching out, talking to her. Like she was really professional, and I noticed a difference between the way she handled the intake of that opportunity versus the other nonprofits I was reaching out to. They were like, oh, fill out a form and we'll schedule you. But she was like, no, I want you to understand end to end what we do back here. Come take a tour. I want to show you what you all will be doing. And so, yeah, we first met physically, because we were talking and emailing before, was when I came in to do the tour. And she gave me, I had volunteered at this place a number of times already. I had taken interns from the company I was at volunteering there. But, this was the first time I really understood end to end what they did and what impact we were about to make. And she did a great job walking me all the way through that. So that's how we met. I'll say I was super impressed. I was just really impressed, wanted to get to know her better.
Of course.
We had some good conversation beyond that, but, I was super impressed just by that. We had an event with the organization I was with. We had an event coming up, made sure to get her some tickets to it for taking such good care of us. And, we became Facebook friends after that and just kind of started chatting, hung out as friends. Right after I'm talking a lot.
No. Keep telling me about my so that's pretty much like how we met. But I think the beautiful part of it is like, one, essentially we met with through volunteering.
Yeah,
so it's something we're
amazing.
Extremely passionate about, like deep rooted within both of us, right? But two, just how we naturally developed, like before we ever like actually dated. We spent a lot of time together just having meaningful conversations and really building like a solid friendship. And I think that, so we're coming up on 10 years of marriage this September. And I think,
oh, nice. Congrats.
Thank you. I really think it's the foundation of community and the foundation of our friendship that gets us to where we are today.
Yeah. We were friends for like a year and a half before we even started dating.
Yeah. I hung out all the time, but we were really just like,
That's like finest kind, right?
Yeah.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
It was pretty natural. Like we didn't have a whole lot of drama around any of that. It was just, we're friends and we loved hanging out together, and then started dating, and then we were engaged, and we weren't engaged long. Like,
we were only engaged, I think, 7 months.
7 months, and then we got married.
We got to it.
You knew.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Congrats.
Where did the phrase "lover of people" come from?
Oh, that's a good one. I think for me, so I use it most often. I think you maybe like use it sometimes, but I think that's kind of been my go-to, because I always say, since I was like a cookie selling Girl Scout, I've just have naturally found joy in, whether it be conversing with someone just in a social setting, supporting someone through like a role, like a job, giving back in my own sense of community. I have just always found so much joy, and like my quality of life comes from connection with other people. And so it's like, when I say lover of people, it's kind of like, it might sound corny, but like I feel like it's my whole being, like who I am.
Yeah.
And if you kind of look at the trajectory of my life, and even how we met, and me at the time taking that role serious, like every person that I connected with at that one organization where we met, I took the time to give tours and, things like that. And so I think, I don't know, I like to try to see people past just kind of the initial surface level. And that's even if we are only passerbys and we have like a couple of minutes of conversation. There's just something that fills me from every human being that I interact with. And it's, I think a lot of it I get from my mom. My mom was also like a mother to everybody. So
yes.
I think that between that being rooted within my DNA, but then too, just my love of just all things people, it just makes me smile, brings me joy.
And if you think about like Maslow's hierarchy, right? And you're thinking of, we all want and need the same things,
Right.
I can connect with anybody on that, at that level. Now, sometimes what that looks like comes into conflict. Somebody needing security in one way, right, might look like a threat to me, just because of how I look or how I show up, right? But the fact that we both want security, we both want safety for our families, I can connect with anybody in the world on that piece. And if we're open-minded enough and we understand each other and our perspectives enough, then we can work through that, But it's the conflicts of it that I think get in the way of us being lovers of people at times, just on a macro level across society. So that's kind of how I try to look at people, especially like when somebody's saying something crazy and I'm like, well, no, that sounds, whatever ism or ist you want to put to that. I try to challenge myself to say, where does that come from? Because I just don't think people are bad by nature, but I think things can happen to people, and people's security or insecurity on that hierarchy of needs can cause people
to drive some of that stuff.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, and that's a hard thing to do, because
oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, because people aren't born that way.
Right.
No.
We're all born the same, and then
and then yes,
and then
all of the things happen.
Yeah.
And then something looks one way for you versus somebody else, and where we're at now in society here is everything has to be a shouting match.
I
know. And does it really have to be that way? If we really take a step back, we're saying we need the same thing. Somewhere something isn't overlapping with me and this person, but if we're really dedicated to saying, hey, we value humanity, we value life, there's this whole Black Lives Matter or these lives matter, all lives matter. Like, if we really believe that holistically as a people, we should be able to work through those types of differences.
You would think
that's tough. That's very tough. So that when I think of lover of people, I think of I can identify in you, those same feelings that I have to some degree, we may not have the same triggers, we may not have the same perspectives, but we're definitely wanting the same things.
Yeah, it's pretty wise.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's kind of what I think about it, though.
Yeah, perspective is so important.
Mm-hmm.
I totally agree with everything you said. And try not to react to something until I have a second to think about that person's perspective, or at least try to think about, okay, what might they have gone through, or what am I missing? Or I probably am missing something, or a whole lifetime, because that's somebody that's not me. So I love what you said. Random question. Do you ever experience road rage?
It's funny because I drove over here, and yes, yeah. So of course I say all of what I just said, and yes,
does not apply when in the car.
It's like that's my Achilles heel. I get in the car for some reason, and then I think about it later, and I'm like, why did I even get mad about that? That didn't even that stopped me for a second and a half.
Yeah. It's so hard not to in the moment.
Yeah.
I struggle with the same thing. All right. When did you each realize that you had a gift of gathering people?
I think it really kind of bubbled up for me in high school. Just my excitement of like helping get people together for things, whether that be something fun socially or raising money for something, etc. That's kind of where it sparked for me. Now, when I realized it was a gift, I think I'll say that was later on in life, maybe my early to mid 20s, where I really began to connect more with who I was from a philanthropic end. And so it's kind of looking at like, so part of our story is once we got married, we would always like have people hanging out at the house because we both just naturally like getting people together. And we started saying like, hey, bring a pair of socks or bring, a new pack of clean underwear. And then we would like hand it out after. And it became so natural. And I think we realized, or I myself, that's kind of when I realized, I'm like, wow, like it really is a gift to be able to like bring people together to have fun, but then also introduce people to causes and then furthermore, literally directly help my local community. And that's really how Sing Seattle was bred.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people ask us, sorry, slight tangent, but a lot of people ask us like, what made you start Sing Seattle or da-da-da-da-da? And people don't realize like this was really put on our heart years ago, like 8 to 10 years ago, that we should be doing something for the community to connect them to each other and to causes that matter. Seattle wasn't even on our minds. Like it wasn't even an opportunity or anything we had thought about or wanted. It kind of just naturally developed. So I think the gift part of it realized kind of like once we got deeper into our marriage and started having gatherings at our home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't laugh at me, or laugh if it makes you laugh. But for me, it was preschool. It was literally preschool.
I love that.
And it's a story. My mom loves telling this story. My mom loves telling this story, but like I remember it somewhat because I remember so I never had trouble making friends. Like I would walk into somewhere. I remember my mom. My dad was military, so we moved from Fort Stewart, Georgia, to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. So I had already had my like preschool friends there. I'm still in preschool at the time, starting this new preschool, and I'm the new kid. And my mom picks me up, and she's like, they're telling her, "Oh yeah, well your son's the popular guy now," and like.
This is in preschool.
It was just like everybody wanted to play with me or wanted to color with me, but I had this one friend specifically. I remember Carl. Carl, got to sit by Derrick. I got to sit by Derrick. Move, that's my seat. It was that kind of thing. And he was a cool guy, right? And so my mom loves telling the story of like his birthday party. He was having a birthday party coming up, and his mom was like, Mrs. Love, please tell me that Derrick Michael Love is going to be at Carl's birthday party. Because that's what he would say. I want Derrick Michael Love there.
Oh, that's so cute. The middle name.
And like said my whole, like I didn't even know that. I don't know how he knew it, but like he knew my whole name, right? And so she tells this story all the time. Yeah, and I just knew like this kid wasn't going to enjoy his birthday party if Derrick Michael Love wasn't there. So I had to make sure you went to his party. And so what I noticed throughout my time growing up was I would always build very genuine friendships with people. But what I learned it was a gift again was in college when I built these really, really solid friendships with um, people that I'm still friends with now. You know, they were in our wedding and everything. And so a couple of those guys, we were rooming together in this 4-bedroom apartment just off campus. And at the time, again, working with the student union, doing those events on campus, but we would have our parties. Like Friday night, we'd have a party, and then the apartment down from us, Saturday night, they'd have a party. It's like every weekend for a couple of months. But every time people hung out with us all together, they would always say, man, I love hanging around you guys. I don't know what it is. It's something about that, something. And I feel as though like every time we introduce people to that group of guys that I hang out with, it's the same thing. Well, Tanise and I recreate that so many times over and over again, depending on where we are in life. So there was those friends, Tanise's friends as well, which one of the things that was really awesome was when we got married, our groups of friends were really meeting for the first time. They get along very well. A lot of them are still friends, you know. And so we had made other little groups of friends when we were in Charlotte, and that's what it was. Every time somebody hung out with our groups, wow, this is great. I have never had such a fun time where I can just be myself and let my hair down. And that's what I think people experience with Sing Seattle too. Is, you know, they come out for the first time and they're like, wow, I had a great time that I wasn't expecting to have to that level. I feel like myself. I didn't have to change up who I was.
Yeah.
And they feel very fulfilled in a way, you know.
Okay.
And so that's just like recurring themes I see every time when we have people over to the house and we have get-togethers. Same thing. Like, in fact, people don't want to leave usually. Like we just had one recently where I think we started around 1:00, and I mean people were leaving around 1:00.
Yeah, it was a long
you know?
day, but
So,
it was fun. It was fun.
Yeah. So that's noticed it over time, but it started way back then.
I keep thinking about Michelangelo and the way he did sculpting was I'm not making it. It's already there. I'm just exposing it.
Yeah, I like that.
It feels like when you're talking about the relationships and the way people feel, you're not creating anything. You're just letting it happen.
That's
and just
right.
helping move the unnecessary bits out of the way.
Yeah, I love that.
Yes. Yeah. I think people are starving for it.
Yeah.
And, you know, they just need the opportunity to make those bonds and those connections in a low pressure way.
Yeah.
You know, we all know we need to network, right? We know that, you know, we know it's what you know, it's who you know. Well, it's part of what you know and who you know, but that can be daunting for people sometimes to say, I'm going to walk into a place where I don't know anybody. I have to come out of here with some contacts that can, you know, professionally or, you know, so I'm not feeling lonely all the time. And that can feel very pressurized for them. Something as simple as just walking up to somebody that you see that's not talking to anyone and saying, hey, you having a good time? What's your name? You know, what brought you out here today? You know, just that. You know, you'd be surprised at how you almost kind of see it on some people. You see that little bit of tension, and then when you do that, it releases a little, and they're just like, okay, I'm okay.
Yeah,
I'm okay. And that's what our goal is when we're at our own events. Is we want you to feel like we want that I'm okay, you know, moment for you.
Yeah.
That pressure removed, if possible.
Yeah.
Ken, you can tell us all about that pressure.
Oh, yeah. I'm so introverted that, I mean, no one, I'm the person at a party where it's like, okay, there's no one around. where is the door?
Sometimes I think the only reason I'm here is for that reason.
That is not true.
50% of
the support system.
Although it is really hard for me too, like especially when it's a job. It's like when that pressure is unknown, it's just so much more comfortable. But when you put this expectation on yourself to show up and have those contacts by the time you're walking out the door, I become a different person.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, if you think about those situations, what does it look like for you if you give yourself no expectations? Mm-hmm. The only expectation is, I'm gonna have a good time at this, whatever it is. Like, obviously, good time, is contextual, right? We're not saying we're gonna go chug a whole bunch of beers and stand on the table, mm-hmm. right? But okay, specific environment. Okay, I know this is a networking type of thing. Putting the pressure on yourself can be, I need to meet this person, or I need to meet people with this type of profile at this, or I need to collect 8 leads or whatever. Right. But if it's just, you know what? I'm thankful to be here today. Can I go to this thing and just enjoy it? What would it be like for you in that situation?
I can only do it when I put the pressure on myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
If it weren't for that, and there isn't someone I know that I can talk to, and then other things will form if that's there. But if it's not, as soon as there's that moment of I'm alone, it's like I can't. I need to know where the door is.
Yeah.
All exits. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm out. I mean so have a good time is like peace.
That's fair. That's fair.
But fair. I'm a little abnormal.
Considering that is one of your things, or one of the things you look forward to the least, you do a really good job at it. You've gotten a lot better.
This isn't about me.
Well, you're like, hold up now.
All right, so you have all these relationships you built in Charlotte. What does Seattle? I mean, it's part of your name. What brought you to Seattle?
Yeah, so I got a job opportunity here in the middle of the pandemic. It was
yikes.
Yeah, September 2020. Well, when I started, we didn't know anything about Seattle. We prepped for getting ready for Seattle by watching a YouTube series called Traveling While Black in Seattle. And like we binged, I want to say they may have had like 50 episodes at the time, and we binged them. Like we were just like, okay, we felt like we were living in Seattle already at that point. And so
did it help?
It helped
significantly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. We learned a whole lot about the place just by doing that. And, looking at something like that, like video series, and you're seeing people that are friendly on this thing, like walking you through stuff. Now you're like, okay, I get a sense for what Seattle is. And so there was that. The company paid for a house hunting trip for us to come out for a week. That was a great week. Mm-hmm. Like we really enjoyed it. Met my team while we were here.
What month was that?
That was October.
Okay,
yeah,
so it was starting to turn cold.
Yeah.
And then we were moving. We had already had our moving date in November. Yeah. And so we were moving. We reached out to the Traveling While Black couple.
Of course.
Ironically, ironically, they actually have the same last name as us. Their last name is Love too.
Yeah.
But we said, hey, we're moving here. We love your series. We'd love to meet you. And they were just like, yeah, let's meet. They're like, our day ones for Seattle now. So
they're our Seattle besties now.
Yeah. So
yeah, but I will say, so moving from Charlotte, North Carolina to Seattle in November, in the midst of a pandemic, not knowing anyone was extremely difficult. Especially, I think we realized this on the house hunting trip, but knowing that it got dark so early, it took us a long time to like stay up past like 6 p.m. and
right,
like get used to the time change, but also getting used to the darkness.
like we couldn't go anywhere really because
Everything was closed.
Yeah,
Everything was shut down.
Things were open when we were here for the house hunting trip.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, with the restrictions, right?
Right.
So we went a couple of different places, and we were like,
we went quite a few places.
Yeah, we were like, yeah, we like Seattle. We like some of these different places we can go. We move here. The next day, we see the governor on the news shutting things back down, and so.
Yeah, that morning we went to breakfast at Pike's Place, of course with our masks, and then later that day, no more.
Yeah, Pike's Place was empty. Yeah, we were here. It's 2 blocks that way.
Yeah.
It was a ghost town. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, but that's what brought us here.
Yeah. Yep.
Moving across the country.
I remember those early days because we would get excited about going to Target because that was the only time we really left outside of walking the dog.
So you got up here. The Seattle freeze. I mean, because Seattle is polite, but I don't know if it's friendly.
That's right.
That's what we say the same thing. Yeah, yeah. I think because of when we moved here, our views may be a little skewed by it. So I'm always careful.
Yeah.
Because, and I'll give you an anecdote about this. When we were living in Capitol Hill, in the building we were in, we may have been here 6-7 months or so at the time, but we're in COVID. People aren't really talking and shaking hands and everything. And I'm on the elevator. The guy shakes my hand and says, "Hey, we were making small talk." He shakes my hand, and I'm
not
I was just kind of like, I kind of did that. Yeah. And then he asked me my name, and we exchanged names, and we were talking on the elevator, and I'm like, okay. And he's like, "Hey, well, I look forward to seeing you more around the building." And I was like, I got off the elevator. I said, that was awkward. And that was me. I was the awkward because I wasn't used to that anymore.
Yeah.
It really took a little bit of time to just break down all of our social constructs, just across society. I remember going back in the office the first time, with everybody as we were coming back into the office, and we had a meeting as a team, and we were having trouble like just being in a meeting room together, So while I would say we experienced some of it where it's like you make small talk with people and then they're just like, okay, bye. I didn't know how much of that to contribute to Seattle freeze versus it's COVID. We're all real awkward right now.
Yeah.
June 2021, we were having our first get together at our apartment for Tanise's birthday. Apartment full of people already at that point. So we were making really good connections with people and building good bonds. I'm trying to think that there were like mandates of, you're not supposed to have X number of people.
6+ people was a big no-no.
Oh yeah, we went way beyond that.
Oh yeah.
That's right. I remember that.
Yeah. There was like that lucky number 6 or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
6 feet, 6
weird
people.
Times.
There was a lot of weird stuff that was going on.
I just still can't get over the let's go eat at a restaurant, but we'll keep our mask on until we get to the table.
Yeah.
And then we'll all take our masks off. And then if you have to go to the bathroom,
put
that mask back on, walk the 5 yards to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like when we look back, we describe this to people that aren't born yet. They're gonna be like, "What did you do?
Literally,
why did you do that?
Yeah.
Everyone did it."
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That was a crazy time.
Yeah.
Nuts. All right, so let's talk about Sync Seattle. Do you guys call it Sync ever? Or is it
Both.
Sync Seattle?
Yeah, no, we say Sync all the time.
Sync.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, so talk about the first event you had and your emotions leading up to the event.
Yeah, so we had been in Seattle about a year, right?
It was a year and a half.
A year and a half. Yep. And then, so we were now naturally having get-togethers. Like, I specifically remember Halloween where we asked people to bring socks, and we had like bins overflowing with socks, but also had a really good time.
Yeah.
And so we were like, the more and more we're doing this, we already know 8 to 10 years ago, we felt called to create something public. And we were like, we think this is our time. We think now is the time to recreate what we've done for so many years at home and just put an event on Eventbrite and see who comes. Like, let's just see who comes. We had already connected to a nonprofit organization. So at minimum, we knew we wanted to throw like a networking event, happy hour, mixer. We wanted to highlight Black-led nonprofits because they're historically underfunded, and businesses, both are historically underfunded. And so we were already connected to Bird Bar Place, which is a longstanding Black-led nonprofit in the Central District.
Celebrating 60 years.
Yes.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
60 years.
60 years. Yep.
So we reached out to them, told them that we are going to throw this event. Would you guys like to be our feature? Come, whatever your call to action, whatever you want to collect. So that was in place, and that felt really natural. But I think for us, it was like our goal. We were like, if 30 people come to this, it's literally a random event on Eventbrite. 2 people that are just newer to Seattle that are trying to do this thing. And we were like, if 30 people come, I think we'll be okay. And I think a lot of our emotions, and you can say so if you felt differently, but it felt very natural. It felt, mind you, there were like some stressors because again, we're literally putting together a public event.
Yeah.
We had both hosted tons of public events, but not something that was like so personal to us. And so we put it on Eventbrite. We were like, if 30 people come, like this is a success. But another positive element is that my parents were in town at the same time of the launch, our first event. And it just felt so good, like having them there, having their support. And like, because they both also are very much like community and people driven people, I guess. Yeah, we ended up having almost 80 people show up.
What?
And we literally kind of, so on the Eventbrite page, we shared what our mission was to gather people for a good time while introducing them to local causes and businesses that matter. We made sure to hone in on that it was like natural, low pressure, just come meet some new people. And we packed the building out. And the emotion, I think, was just like immense gratitude. I think is kind of like what I remember is just like looking around and being thankful because people showed up and believing in what we were doing. And even in that moment, I truly believed it wasn't just a fluke. Like I felt like it was the foundation for something really great. And, 2 years later, we've hosted thousands of people and it's just been mind blowing. And I think the reason why we've seen so much success and why it's always an attitude of gratitude versus like fulfillment is because our goal is to make sure other people are fulfilled. Knowing that we have the ability to introduce these missions and these causes or these products and businesses to people who really are coming together for a good time, but then too, also want to connect and do their part in the community, bringing that all together so naturally has just been like, that first event, like just like looking around. I had to go to the bathroom at one moment and like tear up a little bit because I'm like, oh my God, like we really are doing this.
And your parents are there to see it.
My parents are there. And it was so funny. My dad's like so proud, like videoing us. But not to take it too dark, but unfortunately my mom passed away suddenly 2 months later. And I would have no idea that launch, our launch of Sing Seattle was like going to be my last time being around her and hanging out with her. And so she's literally rooted in her, and my dad are rooted in the foundation of Sing Seattle. So that's what makes that first event is going to be so memorable in a positive way because that's beautiful memories that we got to spend together.
Yeah. And one thing I've got to say is Tanise's parents were so pivotal in us being able to push that forward for that first event. Because they were here visiting. Not only did they come to the event, but I remember day of, or even day before. And Tanise's dad loves doing this. Like he was thinking through all these questions.
Yeah, he had a lot of questions for
like
logistics.
These are the things I think people are going to ask you.
Yeah,
like about your mission and what you're trying to do.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, he challenged us,
and I loved it. Like because it was great. It was great. It's like you know what? We didn't think about that, or we didn't think about how. He's helping us get together talking points. At this point, and then Tanise's mom. Like all of those little artsy things I don't like to do that Tanise loves doing, they were sitting there bonding doing that all day
Yeah.
one day. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I love seeing that because one, I don't have to do it. And two, they were spending the time there doing that. So there were things that were stressing us, but then it's like a lot of those things were just alleviated immediately. You know, it was May, right? And at one point, it was just us downstairs because there's a downstairs and a loft and then the patio. And it was just us downstairs. And we're like, where is everybody?
Yeah, it was weird.
Where is everybody? We go up to the loft section. Tanise's mom is sitting in this chair. Everybody's sitting around her.
It was like
holding court.
They're just talking. She's got this conversation going. And I'm telling you, these people, a lot of these people met for the first time there.
Yeah.
And are still friends. You know, just starting with that conversation.
Yeah.
She helped lay the blueprint for that.
Yeah.
You know, because that's what we aim for now when we have these events. We want people to meet there and become friends, and that's recurred several times.
Yeah, we have a couple of best friend groups that came from people randomly meeting at Sync Seattle, becoming by themselves, and now they have their core group. So, yeah.
What a gift to give people.
Yeah.
You
Friendship.
guys are so upbeat. Tanise, how do you not associate that being with your mom? I mean,
no, that's a fair question.
and if it isn't fair, don't answer it.
No, it's completely fair. I'm happy you asked. I actually have a blog about grief, so I do not mind like talking about it.
I follow your blog.
Yes,
It's very wise. Yes,
Thank
I love
you.
it. Yeah.
So I think for me, the memories were like so positive of that time frame that I look at it as a gift. So it's like when I have these immense moments of sadness, one of my practices is like I'll go back and like look at pictures and try to like think of positive memories. And so when I look back at the launch of like this, you know, God-given gift and this business that we have that we're blessed to just bless other people, I think about my mom in a positive light and like her being the foundation of that. So it's actually kind of like healing and soothing to me.
That first year, like, because that was May when we did the first event. We did one in June, and we were celebrating your birthday then. And then July, when she passed, we had to cancel then.
Yeah.
And we got back, we were getting ready for August. And I asked you, I remember, like, do you want to do this or not? As if you want to do this, I'm going to handle August.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to make it happen. And I feel like since August, well, from August up until December that year, I felt like we were doing it for her. First Christmas or holiday party that we had.
Yeah.
And we gave out an award in your mom's name.
Yeah.
And that's going to be an annual award that
and that was actually Derrick's idea. He was like, I think I want to do something different for the holiday party. We had like a specific nonprofit we were highlighting, but he was like, I really think I want to honor someone in honor of your mom. And it just kind of really brought everything together. So I will say, just to clarify, like I'm also very much and have been since she's passed in therapy. Like that's a regular practice. So I do equate having professional help and then actually practicing those tools to be able to look at it as a positive memory. It's not something that's like easy. It's something that I've definitely had to practice for sure. Yeah.
When you do events, at least some of the events I've gone to, not your events, but there seems to be groups and cliques, and I'm the worst. Like go to with people that you're familiar with.
Sure.
How do you break those patterns?
Oh, great question.
Yeah, that's a really good question.
We don't always have that problem at our events, but we had it happening at one of them recently, and I just said, I don't like this. You know, I see people who are obviously familiar with each other talking. There were a lot of people that show up to our events that don't know anybody, and they're looking to meet people, and so those people were like kind of sitting there just watching this, and I didn't want to see us go that route. I just said, okay, got to get up here and do something. Told the DJ, give me the microphone. I was like, all right. I had people close their eyes. I'm like, put up a number of fingers, 1 through 5. and then open your eyes, and I want you to find someone with the same number of fingers up as you. Stand back to back with them and close your eyes. And I'm gonna only give you 5 seconds to do that. And so I was forcing people to find someone random to talk to pretty quickly without trying to be so
having to think about it too
discriminating
much.
about it.
Right.
It's like only thing you should be looking at is
Then
people's
make them
fingers.
touch.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so when they did that, I'm like, all right, so I want you to introduce yourself, and this is how I want you to do it: is name, where you're from, and favorite movie. And I think I just came up with random stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and like it was working. I was like, I was thinking in my head while doing that, like, nobody's gonna do this. They're gonna ignore me. The people are here to drink and have fun, but people did it, and people were saying, hey, that was really cool. That worked, especially the people that were never been to one of our events, were new here to
Yeah.
Seattle. By the way, we get a lot of people that are new to Seattle that come to our events. We actually had a couple that came before they moved here. They were looking at
Yeah.
moving here.
How did they find you?
I think on an
Event-
Instagram or Eventbrite.
Instagram
Yeah.
came to an event, and they were like, "Yeah, we're moving here,"
Yeah.
you know. And
It's really cool.
yeah, I think one other thing that's happened is we set an example pretty early. So those early events, we said we're going to meet every single person that comes.
The two of you.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's harder to do that now because the events are bigger and we've got more going on and everything.
Right.
But we still aim to do that.
As many
But
people as possible.
I feel like we have a lot of people that have bought into the vision overall. I've never used this term, but I'd call them like super sinkers, maybe.
Huh.
Who come to a lot?
They come to a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but not only do they come to
Super sinkers.
these
I
I
love
events.
kind of
that.
like it. I kind of like it.
and not only are they frequent, but they follow that same model. Where
Yeah.
they're like, they'll see somebody sitting around who nobody's talked to yet, and they'll engage with them. And then next thing you know, that person now has met somebody new. and
Yeah.
They bring another super sinker
That's the way
over, or
to
somebody
do it.
else.
So like
Right.
assistants helping
Or
out.
like event.
Yeah.
And so in business, that there are like in big companies, right? Like Microsoft is
Mhm.
one of them. When they push through certain initiatives that like are new, they're testing it out. They need to get buy-in. I think they call the employees who kind of help push those evangelists.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
and so you kind of
Yes.
have evangelists working
Yeah.
and pushing that mission.
Yeah. And
and it's
I think the coolest thing is like this isn't something that we ever asked or expected them to do.
Right.
Right.
But it's something, and they also get, I think, fulfillment because they're meeting other people and building their
Mhm.
own community. But
yeah,
yeah,
they buy in, they bought into it, and they say
So
they see
cool.
the value of it. I think people have that expectation that, hey, if I go to a sync event, I'm going to meet somebody
Yeah.
cool, and it could be that person that's shy, not talking
Yeah.
just yet, and that could be the next super sinker to join me. Right?
super
So,
sinker.
yeah.
All right,
So
gotta
that's
trademark
cool.
that.
Yeah.
We're talking about all these events, and it sounds like it's hard to understand. It sounds like the way to see it is to see it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's what I always tell people.
Yeah.
We need you to experience it first. I want you to experience it. Then let's talk about what we can do together. Because this may not be your cup of tea. We think it will be, right? So, when somebody approaches and says, hey, would love to collaborate with you, we're like, come on out, third Thursday, check it out. And it's almost always, wow, yes.
Yeah.
How can I be featured at this? Or
Yeah.
can we do something specific for my need, but that looks like this? You know?
Yeah.
Do y'all have fun at the events?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
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 We have some of my core memories from Seattle are from like the people that I've met at events. And,
Oh yeah.
and I think that's what's unique, right? So it's like very much a networking event, but it doesn't necessarily feel like it. And then also it's very much marketing helping to market, businesses and nonprofits, but it doesn't feel salesy. It just feels like
Right.
natural. This is what I'm offering to the community, or this is what I'm selling or promoting. And our audience at these events really do become invested in these causes and brands. And I think it's just something unique and special that you can't really get the feeling or the understanding until you are there. And it's one thing I love is that a lot of people who are from Seattle also say they enjoy our events. So it's very much not like events for transients or events for newcomers, or although we do see a lot of those people, we had someone who said they hadn't been out in Seattle, I think she said 8 years.
Yeah.
She was like, I don't like events. I don't like getting out the house, but I saw this. I'm from Seattle. And she was like, I had the time of my life. And now she's been to like our last 4 events.
So, yeah.
Now she's going to be a super sinker.
She's going to be a
super
sinker.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, there's a quote: "The growth and success we cannot keep to ourselves." What does that mean?
All of the success that we're seeing, the growth, whether, the organic growth or like the work that we put in, is not for our fulfillment. Like all year I've been saying our goal is to put as many businesses and nonprofits on the map as possible. So for me, it's like our growth and success is really the community's growth and success. So seeing people becoming familiar with missions that they have never heard of, or people supporting more businesses, small local businesses, than they would have. So it's like, while yes, it's fulfilling to us, my hope and my goal is that it really fulfills someone else, someone who may have been lonely, someone who may have been searching for their community or searching for a cause to support. That's growth and success within their own individual experience. And for me, like that's all I need.
I don't want to get too spiritual, but I'll just say, I think when you're given a gift, you have to be humble enough to recognize that you did nothing to earn that gift. And because you did nothing to earn that gift, you're really just a steward of it. And you have to be responsible in how that stewardship is manifested. And so if you take a gift and you say, this is all me, this is all me, this is all me, I just want to reap all of the benefits of it for myself, you are not honoring that gift. You're monetizing it maybe, but you're not honoring it. And you're not giving back to the source of that gift, if that makes sense. Whereas, when you look at it in that way and say, hey, I didn't earn this, but I was given this for a reason, kind of the whole who much is given, much is required.
Right.
That type of mentality and that same concept of.
Well, I think we have a line in some of our values that, for our most talented people, they have a privilege, but it's also a duty to serve with that with that power. When you look to the future, say right at the very end, what is the impact of what you're doing, the long-lasting legacy, whatever you want to call it, the impact of Sync?
If I were to receive a postcard from the future from myself, what I would want it to say is, your brand that you and your wife built has changed the way Seattle, and who knows how far we expand out, but wherever we're touching, changes the way that Seattle looks at and supports Black businesses, Black-led nonprofits, and all of these entities have gotten to a point where they're on equal playing field, economically and politically. I'd like to see more people that look like me enjoy living here. What you'll see in the Black community here, especially amongst people who are transients, is people live here about 2 years, and then that's like the mark of, are they going to stay or are you bouncing to go back down south or somewhere? I lived down south majority of my life. I'll take it here over there any day. But people that look like me tend to leave because they don't see familiarity. They don't see themselves. They don't see themselves represented here. And that's something that I want to change and help people feel at home here. This is a beautiful place. We've fallen in love with it here. We want people to see the same thing that we see. And we want people to feel like, yeah, I can make a home here.
Yeah. I would want it to look like our brand, when people like see our brand and think of us, that they want to get better connected to the humanity within them. So finding that kindness, finding that spirit of wanting to be around others and with others, even for the most introvert, because a lot of people don't know Derrick is, well, you're not technically, you call yourself
I'm an introverted extrovert.
Yeah, like he's I'm very much like the extrovert. So I would hope that if anyone from around the world saw Sync Seattle plus whatever wherever we end up growing, that they feel like a softness and a kindness, and they're able to like connect with the humanity within them, but then hoping that our mission wants them to connect with the humanity in other people. And then in addition to that, I truly hope that people get more hip to volunteering and donating to local causes, because I think it's so easy to like volunteerism, or if you have the ability to be a donor, it kind of sometimes feels like that thing over there, like, oh, they're philanthropists, or like there are people out there who are already giving, like it's just like another thing. I'm like, no, when people hear of like Sync, I want them to think about like, oh man, I haven't volunteered in like 5 or 6 months. Let me go like look and see what's happening. Or let me go turn back on my recurring $5 gift a month. Like I want them to be proactively thinking about local causes and even local businesses. It's maybe like 10 years from now, if someone said like Sync Seattle, I think like, you know what, I haven't shopped local lately. Like, let me go hit up like a local shop. So for me, it's like humanity, volunteering, donating, and supporting small businesses is kind of like what people think of when they think of our name.
The brand is a reminder to
Yeah.
be that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amazing. How can people get engaged? And who should come to the events?
Yeah.
Who should reach out?
Yeah.
Okay. In terms of who should come to the events, we want everybody and their mama to come out.
Yeah.
Most of the events are 21 and up.
Yeah.
Our third Thursday.
Yeah, like 95%.
Yeah, those are almost all
21 up.
Yeah. But we will have more community events that are like family centered too. So, and in those cases, yeah, everybody and your mama and your kids and all of that at that point, right? How do you link up with us? On Instagram, that's our number one channel probably, which is just sync.seattle on Instagram. Our website is syncseattle.com. Facebook, we're on there. I'm on Facebook because I'm old.
Just Sync Seattle on Facebook. One thing I do want to clarify about like who should come. We have been asked a question in the past, and I appreciate this question. So because we do highlight Black-led nonprofits and businesses, we never want the assumption to be that only Black people are welcome at our event. So we hope to foster a space where when he says anybody in your mom, like literally like, please come and like learn and connect with other people.
Non-Black people come out all the time and have a blast.
Yes. Yeah. So I do want to clarify that. Although we are very much a Black-centered space.
Yeah.
We're very open and welcoming.
Oh yeah.
Of people. Knowing you guys, I figured that was the case.
Yes. Yep. But yeah, we always say like Sync will be here. So whenever you're ready to come to an event, you can find us. Also on Eventbrite. So we host all of our events on Eventbrite. So if you just type in Sync Seattle, you'll find us.
It'll pop up.
Yep.
Awesome. So the show is all about advocating for people, making a positive change in the community. Who in the community do you think doesn't get enough credit for the change they fight for?
I'm going to name one that means a lot to me. Even though I'm not a part of this organization, we've gotten a chance to work with them, but it's called Build 206.
Oh, yeah.
And these guys, Build stands for Brothers United in Leadership Development. And these brothers, like, they're a group of guys that they're doing the work in the community of mentoring young men into being grown men, right? Supporting businesses. They had some business incubators recently for some businesses that were looking to get started up, and they've had grants. And we worked with them and another organization on their annual summer kickball back to school thing this past summer, and that was an honor to be able to do that, because this is a group of guys that are all from this community and have been doing the work in this community for years. We came here, we featured them at an event, and they see us as a community partner.
Yeah, and that's an honor.
Yeah, we watch them doing great work all over this city, and they're genuine about it. And then if you're ever spending time with them, just like I say about us and our friend groups, and people are like drawn to them, spend a few minutes with these guys and you're like, oh wow, no, these guys are like,
they're cool.
When they say,
they're like really cool people.
When they say Brothers United, they really are.
Yeah.
Like,
wow.
Yeah, we were dropping off school supplies with them, and it was me and Tanise, and then it was 6 of them, right? They all showed up in the same car, and they were getting out. Yeah, we're about to go out to dinner right after this too. And I was like, man, these guys are like really, they're tight. Yeah, like this, I love it. I love everything about what they do.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay, since you asked, I will pick one, and it's an organization and a friend too. Monica Thornton Lawrence with Powerful Beginnings, which I believe you guys met her at the dinner we met.
We love Monica.
Her mission, even though I've never been, fortunately have not been a victim of domestic violence, knowing her mission matched with just her personality and like love for the world, I wish more people knew about her organization. So we've sponsored her twice. She was actually awarded the Tammy L. Abington, my mom's award at our last event. So yeah, if someone wanted to walk away wanting to know more about a new mission, it would be Powerful Beginnings.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I 100% agree.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed today's stories and join us again at The Heart of Advocacy.
This episode was edited by Kendall Perkinson and mastered by Guido Bertolini. Produced by Deanna Fong and Taylor DeLine. Storyboard and podcast development by Luke Russell.
Follow us on TikTok and Instagram at We Are Advocates. As we wrap up, we'd like to express our heartfelt thanks to you, our listeners, for your continued support and engagement. I'm Doni.
And I'm Ken.
Together, we are all working to make a world more equitable and just. You've been listening to The Heart of Advocacy.
See you next time.